All right. Welcome to halftime Vikings vent line here. Phil Mackey, Manny Hill. We got Ross Brendel. We got Jonathan Harrison in the background here. And I got to say, there's a million things to dissect here. We'll take all of your, we're not going to take phone calls here during halftime vent line, but we will take comments on Periscope, on, Twitter/Periscope, Facebook, and YouTube. If I'm the Dolphins, after what happened in the first quarter,
Yeah.
200 total yards by the Vikings in the first quarter, 21-0. 21-10 seems like a huge victory for the Dolphins going into halftime.
And they get the ball to start the second half, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken. So this is going to get a little bit interesting if the Vikings defense allows Miami to march down and score to start the second half. But it's just amazing. It was a tale of two quarters, really. I mean, you look at the first quarter, the Vikings did everything possible, and I'm watching this, and I'm watching Diggs and Thielen get wide open, free reign in the secondary. And then you're watching Dalvin Cook just run all over this defense. I'm thinking this might be the worst defense I've ever seen. And for a while, for a quarter at least, it was.
Yeah.
And then the pick six happened, and it kind of changed momentum a little bit for Miami.
Yeah, I mean, and that was an amazing defensive play on the pick six, but that's just sort of the story of Kirk Cousins
Yeah.
this season, and maybe even Kirk Cousins in his career so far, that you're going along great and you're dominating this team, and then something inexplicably dumb happens. Matthew Collar tweeted out the amazing nugget. Jonathan caught this. I didn't see the actual tweet, but Kirk Cousins now has as many pick sixes this season as Aaron Rodgers has in his whole career. Think
That's
about that.
incredible.
So I
That's
get that, oh, it's a
incredible.
great defensive play, and oh man, maybe Kirk Cousins got a little bit unlucky. A guy made a great play, but better quarterbacks don't have that happen. Better quarterbacks, when leading 21-0, find a way to not throw a pick six. That's the whole thing about Kirk Cousins.
So how many is that? Is it two or
Is it
three?
2 or 3? Do we know?
Because
Something like that.
I remember the one in New Orleans,
Yeah.
and then today I don't know if there was another one. I'm trying to remember if there was another one in there. But yeah, I mean, this is I'll quote Collar when I say this. We are getting the full Kirk Cousins experience all season long. It's been like this, where he makes some great throws, and you're like, "Oh my God, this guy's amazing!" And then he will mix in a throw or hold on to the ball too long or fumble, and then you're like, "What is going on? What is wrong with this dude? Why can't he sense pressure? Why can't he make the right read downfield?" And this is regardless of how you feel about Kirk Cousins, this is going to be the quarterback for this year, next year, and probably the year after that. He's got $84 million guaranteed. So he's going to be the guy, and you just hope that as this whole thing goes on and Kevin Stefanski will see, he's going to be evaluated these last 3 games or 2.5 games now.
I mean, I put him in the Hall of Fame after the first quarter. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. But
what a concept. Get the ball to Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, and
Right.
Stephon Diggs and roll Kirk Cousins out on bootlegs to get away from pressure.
Yeah.
It's really not that hard.
Well, and you saw a lot of that in the first quarter. You saw a lot of play action, bootlegs, to your point. The running scheme looks like it's a little different now, that they're not just having Dalvin Cook and Latavius Murray just run right in between the tackles and just follow Pat Elflein right up the middle. I mean, they're doing some misdirection, and they're moving them outside a little bit. They're getting Dalvin Cook out in the perimeter a little bit more, which is where he can be really effective. So we're seeing some differences in how Kevin Stefanski wants this offense to look. We just have to, they just have to avoid the costly turnovers, and you had one of those in the first half. So we'll see how things go in the second half.
I mean, the misuse of Dalvin Cook throughout the entire season, to me, that the Patriots game, what did he have? 9 carries, but for 8 yards a carry.
Yep.
And again, and I'm not saying he's an 8-yard per carry back long term. That would be the first in NFL history. But again, today, he's got 10 carries for 82 yards and a touchdown, and he has a catch for 27 yards. So I don't care if it's Kevin Stefanski, if you're the offensive coordinator someday, Manny Hill, Dalvin Cook needs more than 8 or 9 touches in games. And I think sometimes I know that he's been injured and his career's been off to kind of a weird start, but he's the type of dude that you should find a way 15 to 20 times a game just to get the ball to, because he's going to have a 27-yard gain here. He's going to have a 50-yarder that breaks loose, and you can use him on third downs, unlike the previous starting running back here for about 10 years. Like, you can put Dalvin Cook on the field
right
on a regular basis. The Vikings yardage totals, They had 200 yards of total offense in the first quarter. They wind up with, let me do some math here, 250 yards of total offense in the first half. And I get that the pick six and the Dolphins scoring the last 10 points kind of buzz kills that first half, but you couldn't ask for a lot more bouncing back from firing an offensive coordinator in a game that you have to have if you want. I don't think you can lose this. And well, if you lose this, you lose the division. There is still hope to win the division, I guess. But this is sort of a must-win game for the Vikings if they want to make the playoffs, in my book, anyways. But Kevin Stefanski, good on you for coming in and doing exactly what you had to do in the first hour and a half of your play calling career.
Yeah, and I want to see them continue to run the football. I mean, and not because you got to run the football because that's just the way it does. You run the football today because you can against this defense, one of the worst run defenses in the National Football League. You had 128 yards in the first half on the ground, and you ran the ball, I think it was 19 times. So the running game is effective. It's been effective. So stick with it until they stop you. Stick with it. That's always been my theory.
Just going through some of these comments here. I'm going through Periscope right now. You can also find us on YouTube and Facebook, and then after the game, we'll be on the radio and on the live stream. But Steve chimes in and says, "Run the scripted plays again. Just run the 15 scripted plays again. just literally come out in the second half and run the same plays in the same order."
Yeah,
and
it works for
happens.
You. It is amazing how those first couple of drives when they were throwing, it was amazing how like wide open Thielen and Diggs were in the catches that they made. Like I'm watching this and I'm thinking, is Miami even attempting to play any sort of defense whatsoever? And I know statistically they've been one of the worst defenses in the league, but it was those first few possessions for the Vikings. It was like clockwork the way they were moving the ball.
I thought the first quarter, I wouldn't have guessed 200 yards of total offense and 21-0, but
Yeah.
I thought the first quarter was such a classic example of the ebbs and flows of the NFL, where last week you had the Miami Dolphins knocking off the Patriots in this miraculous fashion. And then you had the Vikings losing another embarrassing game on national TV and firing their offensive coordinator. So Vikings trending this way, Dolphins trending this way, which means do the opposite if you're putting money on the game or if you're trying to project. It was so obvious to me that at least in the first half that the Dolphins were going to be flat and the Vikings were going to come out and their offense was going to be phenomenal. But now that those things are kind of out of the way and it's still only an 11-point game, and this game probably should be over. The Vikings, it should not be 21-10. And so now it's up to the Vikings to put foot on gas pedal here again in the second half. See what happens.
The start of the third quarter is going to be very, very important for the Vikings. I mean, start out the second half the same way you started out the first half, and you'll put this team away.
Yeah. Going through just some more comments here, and if you guys have thoughts, feel free to chime in either on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Periscope. Let's see here. Murph says momentum changed on that questionable holding call that nullified Dalvin Cook's big run. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Manny. And then Rudolph missed a block on the pick six.
He did, yeah.
Which led to a little bit of a defensive jailbreak there for the Dolphins.
That was still a hell of a play, though, by Minkah Fitzpatrick to jump the route like that and just take it all the way to the house. That was still a hell of a play.
Yeah. Got the feeling, who's this here? Kai Vikes. Kai Forbath already has a job with Pittsburgh, so I'm guessing this is a different Kai Vikes. Got the feeling that our offense is pulling its foot off the gas. Yeah, I don't know. I think if I'm the Vikings, I'm running the ball as much as possible in the second half.
Yeah,
you ran for 7 yards a carry in the first half. So if you can continue to chunk like that with your two starting caliber running backs and bleed clock as well, I'm not going to give Kirk Cousins a chance to throw another bad interception to put the Dolphins in a good spot. I'm giving the ball to Dalvin Cook and Latavius Murray 20 times in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Zimmer wants to run the football more because I think that's just sort of part of his old school defensive-minded coach that, most defensive-minded coaches, they always want to run the ball first because they want to emphasize ball security and all of that stuff. And that's fine and dandy, but for me it's like run the football because you're averaging 6.7 yards per carry. It's working, so just stick with it. I mean, the Patriots 2 weeks ago were giving you the running game and the Vikings would not stick with it. And that's why they ended up losing that game. So the running game is working for you. 128 yards on the ground in the first half. Stick with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going through some more comments here. Where was this O-line the past few weeks? So let's talk about that for a second. Because, yes, the offensive line has been opening up holes and they've done a good job, but the play calling for sure in the first quarter was an excellent mix of things that the Vikings do extremely well. Kirk Cousins bootlegging to get away from potential pressure, thus taking pressure off the offensive line, right?
Yep. Yep.
I thought some of the zone, and I'm not going to go full X's and O's here. I'm not going to pretend to be a film
Meat and
guy,
potatoes.
but like the zone blocking setups that the Vikings had, allowing Dalvin Cook and Latavius Murray to see the field and to pick the lane that they want. The touchdown that Dalvin Cook had, he's able to look and see, okay, the defense is flowing this way. There's a gap here, a gap here. I'm going to go around the edge and I'm going to beat this. I think it was it Fitzpatrick maybe who over pursued.
It might have been, yeah.
And so I think just giving him a chance to survey the field and I'm not taking anything away from the offensive line, but play calling seemed to be a huge factor in the first quarter.
Yeah, I mean, and the Vikings going into this game had an advantage offensively because you've got a new play caller in place that he's calling plays that work, and they're going up against a defense that's one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. And then, like I said, you couple that with Stefanski knowing what plays to call, what plays will work, instead of just, and I don't know if John DeFilippo was just more of, we talked about it all week, if it's just more of, this is the system that I want to run and these are the plays that I want to call, instead of saying, these plays might work against this defense because that's what this defense struggles against. So let's call these plays because they can be the most effective. That's what it seems like Kevin Stefanski is doing.
Yeah. But now the second half starts, and now you have to be a little bit more spontaneous in your play calling, and we'll see what happens. But a good start to the game, a great start to the game for the Vikings, and then a disaster second quarter. But they built enough of a cushion to where they should be able to absorb it. So let's we're gonna turn off the halftime vent line pipelines here, but we're gonna be back right after the game is over. Manny Hill, Phil Mackey, powered by Lucky's 13, and you can find us after the game radio. 1500ESPN.com and the mobile app, and also our YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter /Periscope pages. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us at halftime. We'll see you, I don't know, around 3 o'clock or so.